So after our last night humiliating loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cheeto came out and talked about the game. Obviously, Cheeto gave up that crazy 66-yard touchdown to George Pickens. He also gave up a lot of passes throughout the game to George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. And he was having a very, very rough night. 1,000% rough night. And after the game, he said stuff that I knew was coming, but just not reacting to it properly. Cheeto said, definitely take this loss on me. I feel like I let my teammates down, and I'm going to try to do better next week. Now, next week we get Cam Taylor-Britt back. Again, like I said, which will help us out a lot. And it will put less pressure on Cheeto and more pressure on everybody else. Also, the good thing about the Chiefs is they don't really have receivers. And they don't have a George Pickens. They don't have a Deontay Johnson. They don't have any of those guys. They have a very weak wide receiving core that can't catch the ball. And they have a very, very good tight end. So, it's going to be a long game next week, too. It will be. And with, Cam Taylor-Britt out there, it will be a lot easier of a game for us, let's be honest. Now, I want to say real fast that this is not on Cheeto completely. TJ Turner got cooked on one play and allowed the 80-yard touchdown to George Pickens early in the game. This loss is not on one said player. Was there poor coaching and poor adjustments and poor, play calling? Absolutely. It's not just on Zach Taylor. The offensive line played like crap. They played awful. They couldn't get the job done. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop a cold. They played awful. It's on the offensive line too. Every aspect of last night's loss is on every aspect of this team. The quarterback play was awful. And I don't think Jake Browning, to his reasoning here, he didn't have time to throw the ball a lot. The line failed him. He did overthrow a lot of passes because he didn't want to throw in interceptions. And I felt like he lost confidence in himself to throw the ball correctly to receivers because he felt like he was going to throw interceptions. And again, everything comes together full circle. The line sucked. The wide receivers couldn't get open. The quarterback play was horrendous. The defense, horrendous. The only thing good in that game last night, and the only good takeaway, is that we shut down Pat Freiermuth. That was the only good takeaway last night. Was that at least we shut down Pat Freiermuth, which was the guy who killed us last time we played them. But instead we shut down Pat Freiermuth, but then we got killed by everybody else. I don't think Cheeto should blame himself for that loss last night. I think that he was a touchdown that was given up because of him. Actually, probably 2 touchdowns given up because of him. Actually, no, there was also the full halftime play where he gave up the big play, which allowed them to kick a field goal. So technically 17 points because of Cheeto. But that's beside the point. Cheeto, man, it was a team loss. It really was. Everyone on this team left their teammates down. DJ Turner, who's a rookie, and he'll get better, and, definitely it sucks to, I know he's probably taking it the hardest because he's a rookie, and he, as a rookie, you don't want to make mistakes and mess up and cost yourself the game, and he didn't. Everyone cost himself the game in this game, but still, he probably takes it hard. Everyone in this team, Mike Hilton, got cooked on the end of the game. Luckily, they overthrew the ball, but he got cooked too. It is what it is, man. At the end of the day, this is what sucks about losses like this, because we lost to the Titans, and when we lost to the Titans, the same concept was right now. We got destroyed by the Titans, and we came out of that game thinking, well, what can we do? Like, what angle can we do moving forward? What can we look at that's positive, right? And there isn't many positive looks from last night. You have to get over last night. You have to look toward the future. And you have to figure out what we can do moving forward. And that's pretty much all we can do at this point. Is that we have to start talking about what can we do next week. Week after that. Obviously, the offseason. What can we do to progress this team? Because you can dwell on losses and dwell on what just happened. But just like if you win a game, and you are so cocky and arrogant because you just won the game, you're going to lose the next game because you're so caught up in the past. You have to be toward the future. And I know the Bill Belichick way of on to Cincinnati, which is, age old at this point. Yeah, that is kind of like the mentality you have to look at. And I think he does a really good job of embodying that when it comes to, him as a coach, is he's really good at, expressing that. It's like you have to move on. And right now we have to worry about Kansas City. We know we're getting Cam Taylor back, which is huge. We know we have to have a different game plan versus Kansas City than we do Pittsburgh. And if you look at our record versus AFC North this year, we're 0-5. Versus the rest of the divisions or rest of the teams in the NFL, 8-2. And it sucks, man. It really sucks to be 8-2 the rest of the teams, and then 0-5 versus AFC North, because everyone else we're getting the job done and we're moving the ball and we look effective, we look good. And then we go against the AFC North, and it's just like we can't stop anything. And it really does suck because all of the games this year, well, some of them I feel we could have won against the AFC North. We were outplayed in all of them. Outcoached, outplayed, out everything. Now, I did see somebody comment down below, and they did make a good point. At this moment in time, if we do lose out, outside of our draft pick, we will have an easier schedule next year. Right? We will. We'll have less tough games, technically speaking. But again, as I always say, I don't know what less tough games truly means, right? Because at the end of the day, you might say, well, we'll have less tough games next year. Well, the Giants, going into this year, were considered a tough team. And now the Giants suck. So you got to think, the Giants last year were considered a tough team because they went to the playoffs. This year, they suck. So anyone who had a tough Giants schedule where they played Giants are now playing a team that sucks. Every year, football teams, they change. They get better, they get worse. Some teams will go from the worst team in the league to the best team in the league. Some teams will go from the best team in the league to the worst team in the league. It's just how football works. There's so much turnover over every year for players leaving teams, joining teams, trades, signings, that while I do agree, the idea is, if we lose out, we'll get a better schedule. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all at the end of the day because, again, teams just change so much throughout the year. They really do. Next year, the Bills might be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And, we might be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I don't think we will be, knock on wood. But my point is, anything can happen in football. You never know what can happen. So, I don't really love the idea of going into this offseason, if, we continue this, if we continue losing, we're going to have a really great schedule next year. We could. Or we could play all the bad teams from this year who have high overall draft picks, who get superstars, and become great teams. Texans were awful last year. After C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson and a couple other guys, now they're a playoff team. So just keep that in mind. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.